ask you specifically regarding a communication question. I think this is pertinent to whether it's in a personal relationship or a business relationship, negotiations. If people have different communication styles, how are they able to work together on that, and so they're not hurtful, or the other person doesn't take offense? How do you do that?
Right.
Even like in business, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I do know what you're talking about, and it's a little bit tricky because, of course, we always like to educate the other person as to the way we want them to be.
Yeah.
But that doesn't work so well. I mean,
Yeah.
really, we have to come to a place of acceptance. Oh, this person speaks, they're short, they're gruff, they sound critical, whatever. We have to learn how other people are communicating with us and learn not to take it personally. And that's the really tricky part, because we want to get caught up in what they're doing and take it personal and get our egos involved in it. And
Sure.
in actuality, that's not going to help us a lot. And so what I teach people constantly is an equation called Eros, which is E plus R equals OS. So Eros is the love God, right? and what that stands for is event plus response equals outcome and solution. And what happens is that we think that the event, or anything external, if you will, or everyone else, that all starts with E, is what causes us to feel the way we do. And in reality, it's not what they say or what they do that causes us to feel the way we do. It's what we say and do in relationship to what they say. So if someone says something kind of gruff or mean or not as nicely as they should, we think that the only way for us to be happy is to change the way they do it.
Right.
But we have no power over that. And so whenever we think that's the solution, we become victims and powerless. And so what I teach people is, okay, this is how this person is. We need to accept that that's how the person is, and then decide how to respond to that. And one response is to get out of the relationship. If it's really intolerable or abusive or not in alignment with who you are to be in that relationship, you can get out. If getting out's not what you want to do, then you got to find a path of responses that leads towards the solution. And so often what I see is people are choosing responses that only create more of a problem. And so it's really transcending the ego, and it's a much bigger conversation than we can do in just a few minutes, but it's a really big topic. And in How to Love Your Marriage, I actually focus on this equation quite a bit, because it's the same issue in relationships, even with love. I mean, one person shows that they love the other person through cleaning the house.
Right.
Another person only feels loved through physical contact. Right. Somebody else needs to hear it. Somebody else needs to say it. And we get into these big ego battles, if you will, over the other person not doing it our way. And so we need to really learn how the other person does it and look a little deeper and access a new way of responding to them that leads to the solutions that we'd like to see.
And in regards to the business relationship, if you've got mismatch, I guess, in a way, in terms of communications, that's when deals fall through, or you just don't feel like you resonate with that deal. Or if they move forward, they're going to find that it's going to be challenging to go forward with that project. Is that correct?
Right. That's absolutely right. And my husband and I, when we came here originally and many years ago, were raising money for a project, and someone came to us with a $10,000 check, which of course is our first check in this project, was really an exciting check. But we started feeling like there was a disconnect resonance. This was not going to work, because he had certain styles that just didn't feel like it was in alignment with us, and we felt like if we actually made the deal, we would end up with more problems than solutions. And so we actually didn't accept the check. And that's a hard thing to do when you're, as Les Brown says, hungry. You want to create a project and you're excited and somebody believes in you enough to offer you money. The inclination is to say yes, but it wasn't in integrity for us to say yes. And we really have to look at that. Sometimes there are deals that just shouldn't be made. There are marriages that shouldn't be made. There are businesses that shouldn't be formed with certain partners. And we have to really drop in and do a little forethought. Even in the romantic realm, I think we pick our relationships by looks good and feels good, and then we find ourselves in situations that aren't good. And so I really tell people to take a step back and ask a few more questions and really stop and feel, does this feel like the right move? Is this the right thing for me to do? And take some deep breaths and align with your true essence before you make any action, whether it's to receive large sums of money or to get married or to even date someone.
Well, thank you so much for sharing so much information. If there were any final closing words, what would you like to share?
You know, the big thing I always want to share with everyone, if this is my big moment to share one thing, is I always tell people, if you simply practice, and I use this hand gesture, self-observation, to just remind you to rise up and observe yourself. If you simply start practicing self-observation in everything you do, self-observation causes us to become self-aware. And when we're self-aware, we can see what we're doing. We can say, is this serving me? Is this serving me? Is this leading in the direction I'm trying to go? And when it's not, then we have the ability to make a new choice. Yeah. And so self-observation causes self-awareness. Self-awareness leads to choice, and choice leads to power. And so I really invite people, if you did nothing else, if you explored nothing else, to just start becoming extremely adept at being self-observant. And then you can align with who you really are and what you're trying to create in a much more powerful way.
And bring the right people to you.
And bring the right people to you, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. Mahalo.
Mahalo, thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you. I look forward to it as well.
Okay.
Aloha.